For many years at this point, I've had a casual interest in early British diesel locomotives, as in, those built before the introduction of tops in the late 1960s. Today, I wanted to see how one of those older classes holds up in Train Simulator, with the chosen locomotive being the Class 27 of 1961. As for the Class 20 Chopper, I'm not sure if or when I'll ever review that one. Sorry, Camera. But first, a very brief history on the Class 27. They were built in 1961 and 1962 by the Birmingham Railway Carriage and Wagon Company, with the total number of locomotives built in this class being 69. Nice. They were originally numbered in the D5347 to D5415 range, but later renumbered in the 27,000 range when the Total Operations Processing System was introduced. One locomotive, namely D5383, never received a TOPS number as she was withdrawn in 1965 due to accident damage. Although these engines are commonly associated with working in the Scottish Highlands, some of them also ran in top and tail formations further south, specifically on the line from Glasgow Queen Street to Edinburgh Waverley via Falkirk High. The 27s started running on this route in 1971, but the heavy workload, which involved frequently running at up to 90 miles per hour, resulted in their reliability suffering, so they were replaced in 1980 by modified Class 47s, designated as Class 47/7, pulling or pushing Mark II coaches, one of which was modified as a driving brake standard open, or DBSO for short. The Class 27s were not as reliable as the older and less powerful Class 26, and all were withdrawn by 1987, while the 26s kept going until 1993. Fortunately, 8 examples of the Class 27 have survived into preservation, including D5401, later 27056, at the Great Central Railway. This version of the Class 27 that I've got was released on Steam in June 2014. She is one of numerous former Iron Horse house models that Dovetail re-released around the 2013 to 2015 period, but I couldn't find out when the original IHH 27 was released. As of late July 2025, the Class 27 add-on is still available on Steam, where she costs 16 New Zealand dollars, or around £7.16, at full price. There's not a whole lot of stuff included in this add-on, just the Class 27 locomotive herself, albeit in only one livery, along with the same old RSC-era Mark I coaches that have been recycled more times than I care to remember. As for why only one livery was included in the base pack, I have no idea, and the presence of only one as standard is quite disappointing. I should explain where I got the BR Blue reskin that you saw earlier. It was included in the extra stock pack for the old Armstrong Powerhouse/Railright Class 40, in order to provide additional AI traffic in the scenarios. Unfortunately, the Class 40 was discontinued around 4 years ago, despite being a pretty good locomotive, especially for something released as far back as 2015. At least I think that's when this thing was released. In stark contrast to the Class 40, the Class 27 is a fairly basic locomotive where functionality is concerned. For one thing, the McRat, as the 27s were nicknamed, doesn't have a realistic cold start procedure. One thing you can do on the 27 is change the 4-digit head code box, either to a realistic head code or a random 4-letter word, but this is only possible in the scenario editor. Just from reading the list of key features on the Steam listing, I got the impression that Dovetail really struggled to come up with the unique selling points for this locomotive. Thinking back to the head code boxes for a moment, I should add that you can't set them up to have a different code at both ends. As was often the case with IHH products, the Class 27 doesn't have a particularly good sound set. Personally, I think the prime mover sounds less like a Sulzer 6LDA28B and more like a washing machine that's about to shake itself to pieces, especially at full power. Not helping the situation is the default scripting, which only has one keybind for the horn, namely the spacebar, so you can't do the usual two-tone thing with the spacebar and B key. Personally, I think the Class 27 could do with a whole new model. Same goes for the other Type 2 diesels that I've got lined up here at Soma. For reference, these other three locomotives are the Class 24, Class 25/1 Rat, and a Class 33 Crompton. The 33 and a 24 were released in August 2012 and November 2015 respectively, but I'm not sure about the 25's release date. She could be another ex-Iron Horse House model for all I know. In any case, these models of the 24, 25, 27 and 33 are getting a bit long in the tooth at this point, and they're pretty basic when compared to newer diesel add-ons, such as the Armstrong Powerhouse Class 37. The Class 27 also comes with 4 scenarios for Keith Ross's Western Lines of Scotland route, released way back in March 2013, and is still my favourite TS Classic route after so many years. As was common for add-ons released by DTG around 2014, 2 of the Class 27's scenarios are only tutorials, while the other 2 are career mode scenarios. I suppose Western Lines of Scotland is a decent route on which to run the Class 27, since it's mostly a Scottish route, although I'm not aware of any occasions where these locomotives actually ran on the port road in real life. In any case, I have no interest in Dovetail's default scenarios, so I normally just run the 27 in a free roam scenario on the rare occasions when I drive this thing. It's also worth mentioning that there are extra scenarios for this locomotive that you can download from Steam Workshop, made by various people in the community. I may not know all that much about the Class 27, but I still have a soft spot for these locomotives. It's just a shame that Dovetail's ex-IHH rendition in TS Classic has such basic functionality and borderline crude sounds, not to mention the rather weak brakes. As such, I don't think I can recommend this locomotive to other TS Classic players who like British diesels. As I said earlier, I think we could do with a new Class 27 model, preferably one that's done to the same standard as Armstrong Powerhouse's Class 37, since it would be nice to run a more advanced version of the McRat on routes like Inverness to Kyle of Laculche or the West Highland Line extension, Fort William to Mullegg. If you've got any thoughts on the Class 27, feel free to leave them in the comments.